Okay guys, what's happening? We're gonna get back on this F350 project here that just drags and drags and drags, but we're getting there. Turn you guys towards some parts here, and please excuse the exhaust fan noise. I got it running because it's 75 degrees outside and it's working on 70 in here. Just trying to drag some warm air into the building. Wish I would have brought you guys back to show you the tool to install these rivet nuts for the West Coast mirrors. I put those in, I guess it was a couple days ago, but I've got all this stuff final blocked in 600 grit. Now if you're going to let stuff that's sitting in high build primer set for more than a couple days already sanded, go back over it with a gray Scotch pad and scuff it up a little bit before you go and put any product on it, because the problem with high build primer is if you primed it recently, those scratches will shrink up, and then all of a sudden you don't have anything for the primer or paint or whatever your next step is for it to bite to. So I've wiped this down. It looks like I need to go over it one more time. I got some streaks in it down there, but long and short of it is I've got it masked up the way I want it. I've got the bottoms of these doors seam sealed. See the seam sealer there? That's fuser seam sealer. It turns blue when it comes out of the tube. So that's all I'm going to seam seal on this stuff. That's where I dug the original factory stuff out. Hood's in 600 grit. All my pieces are in 600, and I'm going to get some epoxy mixed as a sealer, so I'm going to reduce it just a touch on the back of these just to get rid of the red, and then I'm going to put just base coat on them with the activator in it. And then the backs of these will be done, and I'm going to flip those, and then everything in here is getting painted today. So this is going to be your partial paint video on some of these parts, but that's what we got going on. Everything looks really good, so I'm going to go ahead and go through. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. You see some lighter color there. That's the epoxy, but I sanded and hit bare metal in a couple spots. So I'm going to use some of that thin epoxy and just dust those bare metal spots so that the paint will stick. And anywhere I cut through, like here, I can actually see some green showing through, stuff like that. And then I'll go ahead and base these doors. I'm also going to put some epoxy over those rivet nuts. I hit them with the sander with the 320 and the 600. Just to give them something. It's not much bite, but the goal is hopefully the epoxy won't peel off. I guess I could have thrown those in the blast cabinet before I installed them, but I was going to do stainless steel, and then I got the stainless steel ones, and my big concern was, as hard as they were to squeeze, that I would deform the door. These ones are CAD plated, so hopefully with some never sees or some grease on them. He doesn't care about grease coming out, you know, once it's painted. He just doesn't want things to rust, and you know, none of us do. So I will bring you back when it's time to shoot some paint. We'll see you then. All right, I told you I'd bring you back for paint. I just want to do a quick test on these couple of small parts here, and I'll set you guys up on the stand here in a minute. But yeah, so far so good. Nothing crazy. These have been flashing for less than 5 minutes. They're almost flashed off. Tried not to get too heavy on the base on these on this first coat. You can still see through to the primer. They're real light, and that's kind of how I do it. Sometimes I'll go even lighter. You know, there's still a couple of stone chips in them. You know, is what it is. Trying to get it the best I can with what I'm working with. But the fan is that direction. I'm going to cut in the back of those fenders, then doors, and then hood last. The hood is the one that I want the least amount of overspray on, and just that little bit of spraying I did, I had to tack this off real quick. I want to keep it as clean as possible. I bagged the cab of the truck. The bed still needs sanded. The inside of the bed doesn't matter. Covered up the wheels so that no green lands on those gray painted wheels. Couple coats of epoxy on the back of these, and then all the cut throughs that I hit before. you can't even hardly tell where I sprayed the epoxy, because when it flashed off, it's pretty much the same color. You can sort of see through it in a few spots, but that's why I go real light on the base coat, just to make sure. This should be okay, but I'll show you what I got here. Hopefully the air compressor won't kick on. Let's see. No, it's still at about 150. This is base coat, De Beer 500 line solvent base coat. There's your paint code. Sorry, I'm shaking a little bit. Had a lot of coffee this morning. And with every mixed quart, I put 1 cap full of their clear coat, the medium solid clear coat hardener in it, and that just helps it cross-link a little bit better, and also helps prevent fry-ups and things like that. So there's that. That is $600 worth of base coat sitting there. Now, I probably don't need 4 quarts of base coat, but the fact of the matter is we have 2 more trucks this color, and when we do them, we can start with this and then break into 2 fresh quarts. That way we're not paying too much for the materials. I mean, that some of you are probably going, yikes, 600 bucks for that, but that's with my discount too. The other thing here is what's going on the bed and the sides. This is just single stage paint. That way we don't have to worry about going 6 trips around it, you know, 2 coats of clear and, you know, 3, maybe 4 coats of base. It's not worth it. The bed and the sides, the stake body sides, it's just not worth putting clear coat on it. If I really wanted to, I could shoot some clear on it after putting 2 coats of this on it, but we're not going that way. So I'll get you set up on the stand, and I will bring you guys back in a moment. Alright, let's get going and let some paint fly on these doors. I'll talk with you guys a little bit about what's going on and what I'm spraying here. This is the De Beer solvent base, and I'm spraying it with my Jet 3000 HVLP. Pretty low pressure, maybe about 21, 22. You can see I keep messing around with the regulator. For some reason my air is fluctuating pretty good in the shop, and I've changed regulators and this, that, and the other, but neither here nor there. First coat is going on pretty light. A lot of times dark colors like a green or a black or a dark blue. The first coat, if you put it on heavy, you can get fisheye problems, and not the kind of fisheyes you get from silicones or oils or waxes or anything like that, but it'll just, I don't know, it just sort of leaves a little fisheye in it. So you just go really quick. You can see it's fairly transparent. I'm using slow reducer in this, so a higher temperature reducer. Even though it's not real warm in the shop, it's probably at this point about 75 degrees. And I'm also messing with the paint control there, because I noticed myself I was sort of half triggering it, so I figured I'd adjust it out just a little bit, because I might have been putting it on a little heavier than I wanted to. And I've got a LED lamp on my head there just so I can see a little better. My shop isn't very well lit. It's not a paint shop, it's a do everything kind of place, so we just make it work. But at any rate, that's what I got for equipment, and that's what's going on. And hope you guys are all doing good, and I'm going to throw some music in here for the remainder of this and speed it up just a little bit for you guys, and we'll see you on the next video.